Guys, hauling has just sounded. I'm getting some early footage in because it's absolutely hammering it down. I don't know whether I'm going to get any footage. I don't know whether all my cameras are going to get ruined by this weather. It's a bit of a test for them, a bit of a test for me. But there we are. So we're on Acorn, and I'm on the Winter League at Acorn. It's the third round of the Winter League. And today I've drawn very, very well on peg 5, which is arguably the best peg on the entire lake, consistently. It's not about overall this peg, it doesn't matter about whether you frame or not. So to say, it's more about whether you win your section. But if you want to win this section, you're probably going to have to frame in the match, but there isn't that. They don't do framing in this match, we just do sections. So it's 3 sections. You get first and second in section, that's what you're fishing for, money wise. And obviously it's really all about the points. I'm sitting, I don't know where I think I'm in the top 5 at the minute. I've had a 4th and a 1st, 7-man section, so a bad first start, but then not too bad. Second match, the wind is howling, really blowing through on that far line, and just thought I'd dob some bread. I've got a big long lash. I was going to hold it above the float, but what I've done instead is lay all that line on the water, but hold it tight. It just acts like a brake. Just hope that I can hold it still enough to get some sort of indication. So fishing at 14.5 metres quite early and quite quickly, because the wind's going to get up and it'll be unfishable out there soon. I've not put any bait in or done anything. I've plumbed lots of rigs all around all over the place, but I haven't gone through all that because it's just hard to do. I don't want to get my phone out and go through it with you because it's too wet. Basically I found a nice little flat area roughly where I'm fishing. I'm fishing a metre to the left of where my pole is at the moment, because I've got that much line out, so keeping my pole away from where I'm fishing. There's a nice flat area there, about 2.5 foot, 3 foot deep. So not as deep as the full depth of the lake, but still quite deep. And I feel like that's a place where I can put some bait later on and catch some fish perhaps, but I don't want to start putting bait on it straight away, so I want to dob on it first. So I'm going to dob all over it with bread. I'm only a foot deep at the minute, so I can go a lot deeper. I just want to see if I get any indications, any signs of fish there, which is all I'm interested in at the start. Just trying to work out what's in my swim already and not spook anything out of it that's already in it, because it's that time of year. Keep my eye on what the other people are doing in my section. So I've dobbed in this area, and I've been dobbing now for 2 or 3 minutes, not even had a dip or an indication on the float. So I'll lay the rig in one more time, and if I don't get any more indications, I'm just going to deepen up. Try again. A really big bit of bread on. It's punched out, slow sinking. Put it in again because it doesn't seem to want to sit nicely. Right guys, it's 12 o'clock, so we're an hour and 3/4 in. I've got £15 on me clicker. I went over Dobbing and I foul hooked a few fish and lost them, and I managed to get one decent foul hooked one out as well. And then I've gone it's not really going anywhere, so I've gone over on the deck and trying to put some bait in. I've just put some maggots in over the line and fished a double maggot over the top, and I've hooked this, but I feel like this might be foul hooked as well. So I sort of, on a struck, my float came out of the water quite a way before I connected with the fish, and the way it's fighting, I can't make any line on it. I mean, I've got on the back of the top kit now, and I feel like it's up the far bank. So it's going to pull out there, but it's pulled out. Is it? Yeah, it's pulled out. I thought it was going to. Now we have a scale look of a foul looker. It's just the bait don't seem to be putting the fish off, but they just don't seem to want to go down for it. I've hardly hooked anything in the mouth. I've got 3 carp for around about £14-15. One's like a big F1, then I've got a close to double figure carp and a little 2-pounder. I feel like anything I do to encourage these fish to come off the bottom at the moment is bad news. Now one more look. I'm going to get the bread. Also, I can dob some fish off the bottom. I've just fed some lines. I've just fetched down the middle in front of me, and to my left, they're pointing back towards peg 8, which is empty, which is a peg to my left, which you can't see. I'm just pointing straight back at that and fishing towards that with the number 7 section in my hand. It's the same depth as it is straight in front of me, so I'm going to have 2 lines there. I'm going to have a quick look on both of them. But they're more than likely going to be silverfish. I have also set up a slightly closer. I have also got closer to me on the left. There's a little shallow area that's quite flat, and I'm going to have a look at that in a second. Because I feel like if these fish just don't want to be quite in this depth of water. When I tried this rig down to my left, it was a bit too deep. But I found a little flat spot to my left, because in my left here it goes around the corner. So I'm like at an end, and to my left there's like a little point, which is great, and there's some of the fish come into the shallow water, but I'm not so sure they're going to do that today. So I've left it alone for a bit, so let all the sort of clambering and battling around and settle down and see if any fish drift into that area. And I've set up a special rig for it because it's just a little bit of a funny depth. I found a reasonably flat zone. It's not flat. And I might just go over that and have a look. A very, very small amount of bait in a kinder pot and just see if I can get a bite over it. Because I'm hooking fish and I'm getting an amongst fish on this line that I'm fishing now, but they're all foul hooked, and I'm losing like for every 5 I hook, I'm losing 4. Don't feel like anything's really feeding. It's just sort of drifting around. But then the feed just has seemed to brought a fish in, so maybe I've got to just fish just above it. So I've got a little rig that I've been using to dob over the top of this line. Maybe I'll just mark the depth on this one and then just come shallower with this rig. It's just a bit of a better presentation on this rig than the other one. The other one's, it's got a bigger hook and everything on for dobbing bits of bread. I could try just dobbing bread. I've tried dobbing bread over this line and it's just not been right. Even that I've caught on it, but they've all just been foul hookers. So not really having the bread either. So yeah, there's another one that was up just off the bottom there. See if he's up to the mouth or not. So if he's up to the mouth, then I can stick with what we're doing. And he's off again, look. So there's another one gone. You know, I know that it's not my hook or anything because I've caught loads of fish with this setup and it just don't pull out. There's a bit of scale on the hook there. Let's have a look at my new Dobbing rig. Yeah, maybe that's about right. We'll try that now that we've put some bait in. I might keep putting the bait in through the Dobbing rigging because it don't seem to be putting them off. Maybe it'll send a few fish down. So that's my plan now. I'm going to have a go on this shallower rig. 5 minutes, see if I can hook these fish that I seem to be foul hooking. It's a slightly bigger hook, but I'll put a double maggot on it so you won't be able to tell. I don't think it'll put these fish off. They want it, they want it. I'm going to keep maggots dropping through the water in case they are intercepting them off the deck. And they're just sitting there sucking a few maggots in off the deck. Not really bothered about going down for them. I'll just grab the ones that are coming past, and I've got this nice gentle falling rig that I've got here. It should be gentle falling, but it seems like it's moved a bit. Just sort of that. There we are. Right. I'm going mad just putting a pinch of maggot in. Let's just see whether they have that. Dip the cut. I've got quite a long lash on this line because it's my Dobbing rig, and the idea is that it keeps the pole away from the water a bit. I could probably get away with reducing it, but let's just see how we get on. I'm going to tap these baits in quickly. I'll relay the rig in. Let's see what we get. See if we can nick a fish doing this. So yeah, I thought I'd turn you on because this is like a break in the weather. I don't know, the tripod cam might be in a slightly different position now because the wind did blow it over. The weather's breaking at the moment. We've not had any rain for 30 minutes, which is nice, but I don't think it's going to last. It's just going to come in waves. But it's a lot less windy, so I can fish over nice. So I'm glad I stuck with this line fishing over, because I was going to abandon it early because it was a bit windy, but I thought there was a chance. There's an indication there. I thought there was a chance it might ease up a little bit, so we went with it. Doesn't seem to be any fish feeding here. I mean, I'm surrounded by the best pegs on the lake at the moment, you know, my peg included, and I'm not seeing people catching fish, so it's fishing absolutely rock hard. So I am cautious about being too positive over here, because, you know, at some point they might switch on, but if I spook them all away, I've got problems. I think I'm gonna have a look on the lines down the middle. Just let this longer line settle down a bit. Just tap a bit of bait on it or something. This it hasn't moved, look, when it's not on the deck. Getting an indication of any description. Before I went out there with the deck rig, it's moving all the time, but you can't look at anything in the mouth. A tiny indication then, perhaps that one, I'm not sure. Rather frustrating to know what to do to try and catch these fish. They're there, but they just don't want to be caught. Tried dobbing. I've gone up and down this water column with this same rig on, dobbed up and down all the different depths. It's just not happened. And the wind's off my back a bit, it's sort of pushing the rig away from me a bit more, so I've got to pull the pole back a little bit and have the sort of back shot behind the float, sort of between me and the float now, rather than to the right of the float. This rig's a couple of inches over depth because it's moving, towing around so much over there. I can't keep the bait still if I don't have it a little bit over depth. And then it's like a 4 gram. I would normally fish for like a 0.2 gram, but this is like a 0.4 gram float over there, because obviously trying to control it in this wind. As you can see, the wind has just got up as I speak, so it's making life hard. And that's a liner. Foul looker. Oh, it's going to break my pole if I don't let him go around with it a bit. Definitely a foul. Look at this, I can't do anything with him. Jeez, he's a big boy. He's solid with fish over there, but they're just not feeding. Just a ball of them, and they're not even having the bread. Absolutely guarantee you that this is a foul-hooked fish. But there we are. At least we're getting some footage. Hopefully the camera's not too wet, and thought I'd keep the camera running a bit longer than I probably should do, just because it's the weather. Because we're now, it's now 20 past 12. For 2 hours, just over 2 hours, we started at 10:15. It's sort of 3 or 4 pound size carp, I think. And I looked. Just a sort of wampy size that likes to run like a lunatic. But when it's foul hooked, you can't stop it, and it's got the potential to do damage to your kit. So I like to get back to my top kit. Got the Preston Duraflip 11 on, so it's nice and soft. And it's pulled out anyway. You know what's going to happen. This is what's happening. You see, wasting my time with these foul hook. It's just a waste of my time. Right, guys, it's just gone 1 o'clock. Literally a couple of minutes past. It got a bit too windy for me to fish over. I tried down the middle in front of me, couldn't get a bite. Tried to my left, even the other line that I fed down the middle, I couldn't get a bite. So I'll just quickly unpack the bread rod. Chucked it down the edge, and several liners on it already. It's only been in the water 2 minutes. I just chucked it into the water from the middle of me on the left. Got a couple of liners. Having a biscuit and a cup of tea. You see one of these liners turns into a proper bite. A little bit less than an hour to go, I think. Went down the line straight in front of me on the deck. Get some weird indications like the fish were off the bottom, but they weren't feeding on my, you know, there's fish there, but they weren't on the bottom, and the float was moving sideways and backwards and all sorts of weird things. So I got my Dobbing rig, shallowed it up, dropped it over the top of moving water, thinking no chance this is going to go under, and it's just gone straight under as soon as I put it in. I'm really hoping it's hooked in the mouth, because maybe I found something. Maybe these fish just want to be right in the middle of the water. I can get 4 or 5 fish at the end doing this. It gives me some good suction points, because it's been so hard today. This is putting up a good account for itself. If it's foul hooked, it must be so shallow. It's ridiculous how shallow it must be. Fighting like a fish that's normally hooked. It could just be a really nice big fish. It's fast. It's a big fish, hooked in the bottom now, I think. I just can't get your head around that. It's 5 or 6 pound in a bag. Really nice fresh slice of bread, I think. Maggot's back in there in case it starts raining again. So I'm going back out exactly where I dobbed before, which is literally down the middle. Probably somewhere about half depth down the middle. Bit of punched out bread. I think I've kept you running for a bit there, guys, but what's just happened there, I don't saw that camera, but same spot, just put this rig in, waited and waited a few seconds and it's buried, and just looks like a decent F1, I think. Let's come to the top. For some reason I just can't get on, I just sit there. I'm really just sitting there while I've put bait in. Just don't know. This Dobbing rig shallow. Bit of bread and just dropped it over the top and had a fish. And then I've just done it and had another fish, and now I've had another fish. I don't understand. I mean, Dobbing. Dobbing's Dobbing, but there must just be a ball of fish right there in front of me. Just random. I don't think it's a bit stupid. This is what I've been trying to do over all day. Dogfish, and I just wouldn't have it, and I think I'm doing it wrong. I'm doing it on this rig with this setup and everything, so it's obviously nothing to do with the rig or anything, it's just they weren't there. They're not a big carp, but they're carp, aren't they? Got about half an hour to go, I think. Could do with 2 or 3 more of these just to give me some really good section points. £2 there. I'm getting close to £30 now, which isn't a fantastic weight, but certainly better than any weight I've done up here recently. Good fish this one. I'm hoping it's still recording. Yeah, good fish this one is. I've never had this here before where you can just dob in open water and catch fish. It's really caught me in that. If I'd done this all day, I probably would have had £100 easy. Definitely hooked in the chops this one. Nice. ghosty mirror carp, hooked in mud chops. So shake his head. Absolute hippo. Nice one. Spat the hook out in the net. About a 10 pounder. Maybe even a bit more, but I'm going to put in a 10. So it puts me on. Oh, I should straighten the hook out again. About 5 minutes left, so maybe we can make one more. I'm used to getting it hooked funny. Go for an 18 on an 11, because that'll give us a nice size to put some bread on.